Hey mini enthusiasts, how you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're all well and I hope you're having a great day. So today we are back on Project Bruce, following on the sort of floor repairs from where I've done the offside front floor pan. We're now going to turn our attention to the sills. I'm going to start with the offside sill, which is the driver's side, because it's got a cover sill on it, or an over sill as they're commonly known. The near side sill looks like the original sill. It is corroded and it wants replacing, but I'm just a little bit concerned over what that cover sill might be hiding. So I've got previous experience here, and generally either they're not fitted very well or they're hiding some poor rot or poor repairs underneath. So although the cover sill has not rotted away, I could genuinely get away with just leaving it with a cover sill on there. I don't think it's the right thing to do, and they're just not good for the cars as well, because they don't allow the shell to breathe. They become a moisture trap, and how they're actually fitted is not how the car was actually built, and the box section of the sill was designed differently. So I'm not a fan of cover sills or over sills. I do appreciate that in the past, you know, people had repairs done on minis and they had to be done for as cheap as possible to keep cars on the road. So I don't want to slate anyone for having fitted cover sills in the past, but seeing we're doing the repairs on this, I wouldn't want to sell it with cover sills on there. So let's get into it and let's see what's hiding behind that cover sill. Right, so I'm sure I've explained in a previous episode, the sill on this side is actually solid. It's got no holes in it or anything like that, but you'll notice it's an over sill or cover sill. You can tell that because it extends right down to sort of the first flute of the, not the first flute, the first sort of channel on the floor, and the flutes are closed. They're not open at the bottom. And this just becomes a moisture trap. It can collect moisture in there, and it means the sill, the inner body, can't breathe. So yeah, it's just generally not good. So we're going to take these off and we're going to fit normal sills back on again. I did notice that I don't know how well that'll come out on the camera, but they haven't continuously seam welded it either. They've just sort of drilled through and plug welded it, which is not really good enough. Although it will have maybe allowed moisture to escape out the bottom. But yeah, so we're going to get this sill off and we'll see what it's like behind it. The only bit I'm unsure about is inside the back here. I'm sure that's had that heel board repaired, so once we get that off I'll have a look. And the difficult part about doing sills like this is the paintwork is obviously not bad on Bruce. I mean, it's not fantastic, but you've got to weld along this lip here, spot weld, and it can burn the paintwork here. So I want to try and avoid that. I've got some methods for preventing that happening, but I've got a spot welder, so I can spot weld. So that's more localized heat when you're welding. So yeah, right, let's get a new grinding disc loaded up on the grinder and get this cut out. I don't think it's going to be too much of a job to get the sill off. We'll find out in a moment. wow, just wow. Do you see what I mean when I said about that's they've just plug welded it? I just pulled it off. I cannot believe that. So obviously what's happened is the water sits down the bottom here and it just corrodes all those welds. So it made it nice and easy to get off. I wasn't expecting it to be that easy. That is scary. That, you know, the sill forms part of the strength of the car, and to only plug weld it along the bottom there, yeah. So yeah, there's our cover sill. It's quite nice to see they've made half an effort. It's been epoxy, sorry, it's been red oxide primered inside here, which is obviously giving it a bit of protection. And from what I can see, the inner sill, it don't look too bad. I've seen worse. Yeah, it's not too bad at all, that. So there we go, just in a little bit more detail there. Like I say, that was quite scary how easily that come off. All these welds down the bottom just broke. As you can see, there's so much. The water just collects down the bottom there, and then they'll just corrode the floor pan down the bottom there. In this case, it's corroded the welds. Yes, it made it nice and easy to remove like that, but you know, the worry is that just had no strength in it, no strength at all. Yeah, I'm not sure how old this panel is. You can still just about see a label there. They have welded up the jacking point in the past, which is quite a common thing to do. Yeah, typical cover seal that. I've seen worse. It come off very easily, which made my job nice and easy. Like I say, I'm actually quite pleased with the inner sill. It doesn't look too bad at all. It has been plated around here. I might have to try and clean this up. There's actually a hole there which they've left. The jacking point is still not too bad. The welding's not great around there. They've welded a patch on, so we'll need to do that. That's that patch that's on the inside, and to be fair, that's not too bad. That'll probably get left. Need to clean up some of my welds up here where I put the floor pan in, and hopefully it hasn't corroded the floor down here. I don't think it has. As we go to the back, again, it doesn't look too bad. We've got a patch here. It don't look too bad. I must remember to soak these subframe bolts in WD-40. I'm going to do it now actually, and take them out as well. Make sure they come in and come out, because I don't want to weld a new sill on and then find I can't get the subframe bolts out when I take the subframe out. But yeah, in general, that is pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with that. I do need to now get this second lip off of here, which I'm actually probably just gonna grind through with a flap wheel the whole way long, because they are, again, they're plug welded here, so trying to use a spot weld drill on them is not going to be much use, to be honest. Well, I guess it might work, but I think I've had better luck in the past just flap wheeling it really thin and then going along with a hammer and chisel and breaking it apart. Look at this, I'm actually getting lucky here. I'm literally just wiggling. It's that badly welded. I've run out of luck there, but maybe not. I managed to get this big strip out just by wiggling, just because the welds are naff, which is great, makes my job easier. Well, I've got to admit, unpicking that was a lot easier than expected. It can be a bit difficult without making a mess of the doorstep and that, but no, it come off quite nicely, in part thanks to some poor welding beforehand, and due to a bit of corrosion helping the poor welding fail. So pretty pleased with that. That's been pretty easy to do. in comparison. I've just mocked the sill, the new sill up on there at the moment, purely because I need to know the line where I need to clean off, because this has got to be welded along here. So I need to make sure all this red oxide primer's got to come off for welding the new sill on. But you'll see, if you're not familiar with oversills, this is about the line the oversill comes to originally, the one I've taken off, and obviously this is the line that the original sill goes to. So there is a good probably probably about 4 inches overlap, and it's this area which, when it's overlapped, can corrode really badly because it's just a moisture trap. But yeah, we're progressing nicely. I need to flat wheel all of this off now. Right, I've been doing loads off camera. This is quite depressing actually. So where this patch was here, I cut it out and I've redone it just because it was a really poor repair. It was overlapping and I thought it looked naff. And then we move along and there was a repair patch on this jacking point. Do you remember, I think I said earlier in this video, the jacking point looks fine, but basically it had a piece of metal that was just kind of tacked in up there, not even welded in properly. I managed to get it out of a screwdriver, and then it had this plate which was just overlapped in the bottom there. So of course when you take off the overlap, they've just gone over rust underneath. So that jacking point ain't nearly as good as I thought it was, and I'm, you know, lucky I checked that, because that's right in the middle of the car. That all needs cutting out. Big chunk out of there. I don't know whether I'll put the jacking point back in. What do you think? I don't think I will actually. Yeah, I'm not sure. But it gets worse. If you thought that was bad, come to the back here. So the slinger bracket was rotten as a peach back here, and the mounting for the subframe bolts was no good. So good news is I tried the subframe bolts and they come out no problem at all. So that's great. But the bracket that they mount to is pretty much non-existent. And then I'm looking in here thinking, what's going on? Because again, this is all overlapped. And when I look down the side here, I can see that someone's welded along the bottom there and folded it around the corner. But what is a real bodge, bear with me, hopefully you can see this, is that it's moving. It's not welded at the top. They have literally just got a piece of metal folded round, tucked it up inside, welded along the bottom, and that is not welded at the top. That's a real bodge. So that means hill board repair section at the back there, subframe out. I knew that anyway. The subframe is a mess. The subframe's been all patched up in the past, so I knew I was getting into putting a rear subframe into it. I guess that rear hill board is not the end of the world. It's not a bad repair. The problem I get is you don't want to cut too much metal out. So what I'm probably going to do, I've done this repair on PL on my Cooper Sport. I replaced a hill board repair panel. I am probably going to sort all this out, get this all solid. I'm probably going to weld the outer seal back on up to probably this point here. I'm going to cut it. I'm then going to take the rear subframe out, replace that hill board, and then weld in that last section there, because there's bits like on the hill board, when you fit it, it comes inside here, and you've got to be able to weld this bit in here. Unless you take the door bin out from inside, you can't get to it. So you've got to have the outer sill off. But I don't want to take the hill board out, the rear subframe out, without some strength being back in here, because yeah, I am worried then that there'll be too much strength taken out this side. So, be honest, I'm absolutely gutted That's really escalated. Originally it didn't look too bad, but yeah, it's got a lot worse. I mean, this is just unforgivable, isn't it? Can you see the welds on there? There's blobs up here, but nothing else on there. They've literally just inserted it up inside there, tacked it on. Got this bit here, well, they folded it around the corner. What a bodge up. I am gutted. Yeah, that's going to add a good few hours, if not days. So this bit at the back here, one of the reasons I cut it out is because I could see this is sort of the inside of the door bin. So as you're looking down inside, you're seeing that, and I could see this cut edge here, and I could see this fresh metal here, so obviously I could see it as being overlapped. And then of course, when you look on the outside, that's exactly what they've done. So, like I say, some of that stuff, I mean, it was reasonably solid back there, but just leaving it doubled up, double skinned like that is just, yeah, it's not the thing to do. And then of course, if I hadn't chopped that bit out, I wouldn't have then noticed that they'd completely bodged up that rear heel board. Right, half hour later, I'm feeling a bit more positive now. Always makes you feel better when you chop out a load of old rust. There is our gaping great big hole there. I've managed to get all the jacking point out. The inside of the box section is perfect, spot on. Even the ends here are fine, so that's good. Sometimes it can be corroded inside as well. I just need to make a piece to go over here. I will plug weld through here onto that inner cross member. I'm feeling a bit more positive. Once I get that bit in, bar sort of cleaning this up, cure rusting it, treating it, I can put the outer seal back on and get that all done. And like I say, I'm probably going to cut the outer seal off there so I can do that rear repair. This, to be honest, this bit of the back here was my own fault. I looked at the door bin on the other side, and inside the door bin on the other side is perfect. In fact, it's still got an original seal on the other side that hasn't corroded through yet. It does want doing, but obviously this side much worse, and I didn't look at this side properly. If I'd looked inside that door bin, I'd have probably seen that bodge up there. Would it have stopped me buying the car? No, it probably wouldn't have done. But yeah, like I say, this is a budget restoration, but I've still got to do it right. Yeah, you can't cut corners on stuff like that. And just as you see, it looked all right, but once you start poking around and having a look, you can unearth some horrors. So I think that's probably it for this video. Catch you again soon.